first let's get into the baits, right? You have baits like a Sakamata shad or a winged zoom fluke, right? The ones that it's a rolling action, right? So you have that rolling. Then you have like, you know, a bunch of minnows either on the market. Everyone makes one that's more of a vertical, like a Jerk Shad, right? It's going to move in the water like this as opposed to like this. Like horizontal speed versus vertical speed versus rolling speed. Like you can roll it fast. You can move it vertically in the water quickly. You can move it horizontally in the water quickly, like herring fishing. You guys are all familiar with. You know, you throw it out there and with a Damiki, and you kind of just reel it across the top of the water. All those speeds come into play to create that, in whatever situation you're in, to complete that perfect presentation to make that fish bite. Line size is everything too, but not in the sense of like the fish seeing the line, but from a weight standpoint and a castability standpoint. If you're using super light line, the action of your bait's going to be more prevalent. You're gonna see more of a roll or more of a sink rate versus thicker line. It's gonna have a harder time. Hover strolling is what they call it, right? So that's Oh, you can play that video actually. That's a really good. Yeah. So see, that's that roll that I'm talking about. You can play it one more time. That's going to be something you really need to understand how important that is, especially when it comes to largemouth, lethargic largemouth, summer. I mean, it works all year round, but that lethargic smallmouth, and then that's that vertical motion I'm talking about. So like Toledo Bend, right? The fish that I was catching on Toledo Bend were pre-spawn and post-spawn. The pre-spawn fish responded far better to that vertical, right? Because they want, the pre-spawn fish they're hungry, they're ready to, yes, they're going to get on the bed at some point, but they're more aggressive. So they want it kind of pulled away from them, right? The post-spawn fish, they're tired. They're big, they're tired, they're not in a real chasing mood. So that vertical, or the rolling speed, there really gets them to react because it gives them that same sort of enticing movement, but not pulling away from them horizontally or vertically. It's kind of just in their face, like you don't need to, you use a lot lighter weight so you can keep it right on their nose while still, giving that bait that movement. Let's see. Yeah, you can go to the next one. This is what I was getting into with the, like a wing style fluke Sakamata shad versus like a Hot Shot Minnow or a Jerk Shad. The difference is simply, like I said, the vertical or horizontal presentation versus that rolling movement. This is a perfect, these are the perfect baits for that vertical horizontal movement, and those style baits are perfect for that, that rolling speed you need. Two totally different styles, right? 100%. And they're all great baits, but they're used in such different scenarios that you can't simplify it to where I'm just going to use one of them. If I had to use one of them, it would probably be that rolling style bait because you can get it to go vertical, but I like to have ones without that drag for a vertical or horizontal presentation because these wings create drag in the water that slows your bait down. So if to simplify it for you, rule of thumb, slow lethargic fish, rolling action. Fast aggressive fish, that vertical action, right? That's really how I break it down. And there are people that get so in depth in this stuff. I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible for you. If you're throwing out a fish and it's following it like that video you saw, it's just following it. That's when I would switch to a Sakamata shad style to where I can keep it on its nose without bringing my bait too close to the boat. So if I can keep it there, because remember he swam up to it and then kind of went down. It's because I was getting close to the boat. So, the line changes the way, like if the closer I am to the boat, the bait's going to continue to move up the water column. As opposed to if you make a long cast, you can keep that bait in the same, you know, in the water column, you can keep it at the same, you know, rate faster than when it gets closer to the boat, if that makes sense.